Adrian Foster was having a normal day at work. He sat at his desk at NASA's Deep Space Network facility, watching signal patterns move across his screen. Adrian had been doing this job for 5 years. He was good at finding unusual patterns. But most days were quiet. That changed when a strange signal appeared on his monitor. Adrian adjusted his headphones and leaned closer. The pattern didn't match anything in NASA's database. It repeated every 12 seconds in a way that seemed too perfect to be natural. "Hey, Susan, can you look at this?" Adrian called to his colleague. Susan. Clark walked over and studied the screen. Her eyes widened. "That's not random noise," she said. "That pattern is too regular." Within an hour, the entire facility was buzzing with activity. The director, Paul Garcia, called an emergency meeting. Scientists from different departments crowded into the conference room, all talking at once. "Quiet, please," Paul said. "We need to analyze this signal methodically. If it's what we think it is, we need to be absolutely certain before we tell anyone." For 3 days, teams worked around the clock. They verified the signal was coming from Mars orbit. They ruled out equipment malfunction. They confirmed it wasn't from any Earth satellite or space mission. On the 4th day, they began to decode the message embedded in the signal. By the end of the week, they had their answer. The message was in a mathematical language designed to be understood by any civilization with basic scientific knowledge. "It's a greeting," said Dr. Linda Wright, the lead linguist. Her voice trembled slightly. "They call themselves the Galactic Confederation. They say they've been observing Earth for decades. The President of the United States was informed. Then the United Nations. Within days, the news spread worldwide. Humans were not alone in the universe. The message contained more information. The Galactic Confederation was a group of over 300 different alien species who had formed a peaceful alliance. They had classified Earth as a Category 7 civilization, interesting enough to study but not advanced enough to join their ranks. 1 month after the first contact, a small spacecraft landed on the White House lawn. News cameras from around the world broadcast the historic moment as Ambassador Zixtal of the Veldarian species stepped onto Earth soil. The ambassador was tall and thin with bluish skin and 4 arms. Despite the alien appearance, there was something almost elegant about the way Zixtal moved. "We come in peace and friendship," the ambassador said through a translation device. "Your world has been classified as harmless but curious. We wish to establish formal relations." The next day, Catherine Wells, a diplomatic specialist with 10 years of experience at the State Department, was assigned as Earth's liaison to the Confederation. Her first meeting with Ambassador Zixtal was broadcast globally. "On behalf of humanity, we welcome the opportunity to learn from the Galactic Confederation," Catherine said. Zixtal smiled, or at least made what seemed like a smile. "We are pleased to share limited knowledge with your species. You have much potential, though you are centuries away from the technologies that would make you significant in galactic affairs." Behind the scenes, not everyone was happy with being labeled harmless. General Ryan Howard of the Joint Chiefs of Staff met privately with the president. "They're patronizing us," the general said. "This Category 7 classification, it's like we're zoo animals to them." The president sighed. "What would you have me do, General? They have technology we can barely comprehend. For now, we smile, we learn what we can, and we don't make waves." Unknown to both men, thousands of miles away in a small garage laboratory, Dr. Natalie Rodriguez was about to discover something that would change everything. The Confederation set up their main base on Mars. From there, they sent small teams to Earth to study humans and their cultures. Ambassador Zixtal led these efforts, working from a new building in Geneva that the United Nations had given them. Catherine Wells quickly learned that her job wasn't easy. The aliens were polite, but treated humans like children. They shared some basic technology, better solar panels and some medical advances, but nothing that would truly change Earth's place in the galaxy. "Your species needs time to mature," Zixtal told Catherine during one of their meetings. The Confederation has seen many young civilizations destroy themselves when given too much knowledge too quickly. Catherine nodded, but felt frustrated. We understand your concerns, Ambassador. But surely there are more areas where we could collaborate as equals. Zixtal's forearms made a gesture that Catherine had learned meant mild amusement. Equals. Your civilization is barely 1,000 years old. Some members of our council have personal libraries older than your entire recorded history. The Confederation's assessment teams spread across Earth. They studied human technology, culture, warfare, and biology. They watched how humans handled conflict and cooperation. They measured everything from internet traffic to water usage to military capabilities. Their final report classified Earth as a Category 7 civilization, defined as technologically curious but harmless, with significant potential if they survive their development phase. This report was shared with Earth's leaders, who accepted it with official gratitude but private annoyance. Meanwhile, in a small town outside Boston, Dr. Natalie Rodriguez worked in her garage laboratory. She had converted the space using her savings after leaving her university position. Her colleagues had called her theories about gravity impossible and career suicide. The Confederation scientists she had approached had been even more dismissive. Your understanding of gravitational fields is charming but primitive, one alien physicist had told her. The approach you suggest violates 3 fundamental laws of physics as understood by advanced civilizations. But Natalie wasn't convinced. She kept working, following her intuition that there was another way to manipulate gravity. A way the Confederation had never considered because their science had developed along different paths. One rainy Tuesday night, she was adjusting her experimental apparatus when her garage door opened. A tall man in a wet raincoat stepped in. Dr. Rodriguez? I'm Alex Daniels. I used to work in military engineering. He handed her a business card. I've read your papers on gravitational field theory. I think you're onto something important. Natalie was suspicious. How did you find me? My current work isn't published anywhere. Alex smiled. Let's just say not everyone in our government is happy being treated like a pet project by the Confederation. Some of us have been looking for people with ideas that might change the balance. For the next 3 months, Natalie and Alex worked together. With his help, she got better equipment and materials that would have been impossible to afford on her own. Their progress accelerated. One night, they ran a new test on their device. The small metal ball in the test chamber should have dropped straight down. Instead, it hovered, then moved sideways against all known laws of physics. We did it, Natalie whispered, her eyes wide. We just created a controlled gravitational distortion field. Alex stared at the floating ball. Do you realize what this means? This isn't just about gravity. This could be a shield, a weapon, a new way to travel in space. The Confederation said this was impossible, Natalie said. Which means they won't. Be looking for it, Alex replied. We need to tell someone, but very carefully. The right people in government, not the Confederation. As they celebrated their breakthrough, neither noticed the small drone outside the garage window, a standard Confederation biodiversity monitoring unit that had recorded everything. The drone's recording was sent to a central database on Mars. Luckily for Natalie and Alex, it was just one of thousands of recordings made that day. The Confederation's AI systems tagged it as unusual laboratory activity by primitive life forms and stored it without alerting any living operators. The file sat unnoticed in the vast databanks. Meanwhile, Natalie and Alex worked to refine their discovery. They moved the equipment to a more secure location, an old bunker Alex knew about from his military days. The entrance was hidden in the woods outside of town. We need to make it smaller and more efficient, Alex said as they set up their new lab. Right now it needs too much power to be useful. Natalie nodded. And we need to understand exactly how it works. We got lucky with our first test, but I'm not sure why it worked. For the next 2 months, they ran tests day and night. They learned that their device created a bubble where gravity could be controlled. Inside this bubble, they could make things lighter, heavier, or even push them in any direction. The effect was like magic, but it was real science. just science that followed rules the Confederation didn't know about. One night, as they were eating pizza during a break, Natalie said, "We should tell someone in the government. This is too big for just us." Alex was quiet for a moment. "I have a contact, someone I trust who has the right connections. But we need to be careful. The Confederation has observers everywhere." Alex's contact turned out to be Susan Kim, a senior advisor to the National Security Council. They met her at a fishing cabin by a lake, far from any cities or monitoring devices. Susan watched their demonstration in silence. When they finished, she said, "Show me again." They activated the device. A bowling ball floated up from the table, then moved in circles through the air. Following the patterns, Natalie entered into her control panel. "The Confederation said this was impossible," Susan said. "That's what makes it valuable," Alex replied. "They won't be looking for it because they don't believe it can exist." Susan nodded slowly. "This changes everything. But we need to be extremely careful about who knows. If the Confederation finds out too soon, they might take steps to stop our research." A week later, a small group met in a secure underground room in Washington, D.C. Present were the Secretary of Defense, the head of NASA, 3 top military generals, and 2 civilian scientists with high-security clearance. Natalie and Alex demonstrated their device. "This technology has 3 main applications," Natalie explained. "First, as a propulsion system that doesn't need fuel. Second, as a defensive shield that can deflect almost anything. And third," she paused, "as a weapon." Alex finished for her. "The gravitational distortion can tear apart physical objects if the field is set up correctly." The room was silent as everyone took in the implications. Finally, the Secretary of Defense spoke. "We're establishing a new program, effective, immediately. Codename, Project Defender. Dr. Rodriguez will lead the scientific team with Mr. Daniels handling security and military applications." "What about the Confederation?" one of the generals asked. "They have observation posts worldwide. How do we keep this secret?" "We go underground, literally," the secretary answered. "We're converting an old missile silo in Wyoming. The rock formations in that area naturally block most scanning methods. We'll bring in workers and materials in small amounts to avoid notice." As the meeting ended, the NASA director pulled Natalie aside. "The Confederation gave us some of their basic physics texts as a goodwill gesture. They're written for children, in their society, but they're still far beyond our science. I thought you might find them useful." Natalie smiled as she accepted the data drive. "Sometimes children see things adults miss because they don't know what's supposed to be impossible." 2 days later, Project Defender officially began. 6 months passed. Project Defender grew quickly but quietly. The old missile silo in Wyoming became a buzzing research center. Over 100 scientists and engineers now worked under Natalie's direction. They had made the gravity device smaller and more powerful. They had built prototypes that could be installed in vehicles and even carried by soldiers. Meanwhile, on the diplomatic front, Catherine Wells continued her meetings with Ambassador Zix Tal. She was careful never to mention Project Defender, or show any unusual interest in gravity technology. "Your species is progressing well with the educational materials we provided," Zix Tal told her one day. "Perhaps in another century we can discuss upgrading your status to Category 6. Catherine smiled politely. "We appreciate your guidance, Ambassador." Far across the galaxy, trouble was brewing. The Zilarian Empire, a species known for their aggressive expansion, had been watching Earth with interest. Unlike the Confederation, they saw humans as potential slaves rather than students. Their biology was similar enough to humans that Earth's environment suited them perfectly. A faction within the Zilarian military decided to act without their government's approval. They sent 3 warships to Earth, keeping them hidden from Confederation sensors by using an asteroid field as cover. On a quiet Tuesday morning, the Zilarian ships entered Earth's atmosphere over North America. They headed for a research facility in Colorado where human genetic samples were stored. The Zilarians wanted these samples to study human weaknesses and strengths. Alarms sounded at military bases across the country. Fighter jets scrambled, but everyone knew they were no match for alien warships. The president was rushed to a secure bunker. At Project Defender, Susan Kim received an urgent call. "The facility under attack is only 20 miles from your location," the Secretary of Defense told her. "We have no choice. Use the prototype." Susan turned to Natalie and Alex. "It's time. Deploy the vehicle units." Within minutes, 3 armored trucks left the missile silo. Each carried a gravity device mounted on its roof. They raced toward the research facility, staying hidden by using back roads through the forest. When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. One Zilarian ship hovered over the main building. Strange alien soldiers with 4 eyes and scaly skin were loading containers into their ship. 2 more ships circled overhead, firing energy weapons at the human military forces that had surrounded the area. "Activate all 3 devices simultaneously," Alex ordered through his radio. "Set to defensive pattern alpha, then switch to offensive omega on my mark." The truck operators activated their gravity devices. Immediately, a shimmering field spread over the area. The energy blasts from the alien ships hit the field and dissolved harmlessly. The Zilarians noticed something was wrong. Their weapons were no longer effective. The ships increased power, firing more intensely at the human forces, but nothing penetrated the gravity shield. "Switch to offensive omega," Alex commanded. The gravity field changed. Instead of just blocking the alien weapons, it now pushed outward with tremendous force. The Zilarian ship on the ground was crushed as if by an invisible giant hand. The 2 ships in the air were caught in the field and torn apart. Metal twisted and broke as the gravitational forces pulled in different directions at once. In less than 30 seconds, all 3 Zilarian warships were destroyed. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Human soldiers stared in disbelief at the wreckage. No one had expected such complete victory. 1 Zilarian survived. Injured but alive, the alien crawled from the wreckage. A human soldier approached cautiously. "How?" The alien gasped in broken English. "Impossible technology for Category 7 species." Before anyone could question him further, the alien activated a device on his wrist. His body disintegrated, leaving nothing behind. It was a suicide device, meant to prevent capture. What no one realized was that before dying, the alien had sent a message. A small burst of data had transmitted to a hidden relay station in the asteroid belt. That message would reach the Zilarian Empire in days. From there, it would spread to the Galactic Confederation. The message was simple. Humans have impossible weapons. They are not harmless. The Zilarian message reached their homeworld first. Their government was shocked by the news and immediately called an emergency meeting. The recording of the battle was played for their highest officials. "This cannot be real," said the Zilarian Prime Minister. "No Category 7 civilization has the capability to defeat our warships." "The evidence is clear," replied their defense minister. "The ships were destroyed by some kind of gravitational weapon. We must inform the Confederation." After debate, they sent the information to the Galactic Confederation's Security Council. Within hours, emergency meetings were held on the Confederation's Central World. Back on Earth, news of the alien attack was kept as quiet as possible. The official story mentioned only a failed attempt by unauthorized visitors that had been repelled by experimental defense systems. Most people believed it was just another Confederation training exercise. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Morgan, the newly appointed Secretary of Defense, visited the Wyoming facility for the first time. She toured the labs and watched demonstrations of the latest prototypes. "We need to accelerate production," she told Natalie and Alex. "This attack proves we're vulnerable. Project Defender needs to go from research to deployment immediately." 3 days after the Zilarian attack, Ambassador Zixtal requested an urgent meeting with Catherine Wells. "We have received disturbing reports," the ambassador said when they met in the secure room at the Geneva building. "An unauthorized Zilarian military action against your planet was apparently defeated, using technology that should be impossible for your species." Catherine kept her face neutral. "We used experimental electromagnetic defense systems that we've been developing. Nothing special or surprising." Zixtal's expression was hard to read, but Catherine sensed skepticism. The Confederation is sending an investigative team led by Commander Kelvor. They will arrive within 2 weeks. They will need full access to examine the remains of the Zilarian ships and your defensive systems. Of course, Catherine said smoothly. We have nothing to hide. As soon as the meeting ended, Catherine called Elizabeth Morgan. They're sending investigators. We need a cover story that will hold up to alien scrutiny. We've been preparing for this, Elizabeth replied. We've created fake electromagnetic pulse generators that look impressive, but are based on technology the Confederation would expect us to have. The real gravity devices have been moved to secure locations. The next day, a special team arrived. At the Colorado battlefield, they removed all signs of the actual technology used and planted the fake devices. They also mixed the alien wreckage with Earth metals to hide the true effects of the gravity weapons. 2 weeks later, Commander Kelvor arrived with his team. They were from a species that looked like tall, thin humans with pale blue skin and silver eyes. Kelvor was a veteran military officer who had seen hundreds of worlds and countless technologies. The humans showed him the battlefield and the fake defensive devices. They explained how they had modified Earth technology based on the basic science, texts the Confederation had shared. Kelvor examined everything carefully. He took readings and samples. He interviewed witnesses who had been carefully coached on what to say. At the end of his investigation, he met with Catherine, Elizabeth, and several other human officials. Your explanation is... He paused, searching for the right word. Plausible, but there are inconsistencies in the damage patterns on the Zilarian ships. They do not match conventional electromagnetic weapon effects. Our technology may be crude by your standards, Elizabeth said, but sometimes crude solutions work in unexpected ways. Kelvor's silver eyes narrowed. Perhaps, or perhaps there is more happening on your world than the Confederation has realized. After the meeting, Kelvor sent a private message to the Confederation Council. It contained just one line: recommend immediate upgrade of Earth classification to Category 6 and increased monitoring of all technological development. What he didn't know was that human intelligence experts had managed to intercept and decode his message. Within hours, President William Carter was briefed on this new development. They're suspicious but not certain, the intelligence director explained. They're going to be watching us more closely from now on. The president nodded, gravely. Then we need to move faster. Tell Project Defender to prepare for full global deployment. If they're going to be watching more closely, we need to be ready sooner. 1 month after Commander Kelvor's visit, Earth was busy with secret activity. Project Defender had grown to include 5 hidden facilities spread across different continents. Production of gravity devices was happening around the clock. The technology was being installed in military bases, ships, and satellites, all hidden from alien observation. Catherine Wells continued her regular meetings with Ambassador Zixtal, maintaining the facade that Earth was still a simple Category 7 civilization, grateful for Confederation guidance. But she noticed the ambassador was asking more detailed questions about Earth's technology and defense systems. At the main Project Defender facility in Wyoming, Natalie and Alex had made another breakthrough. They had discovered that the gravity technology could be used to scan for Confederation observation devices. They found hundreds of tiny sensors hidden across Earth that no one had known about before. They've been watching us much more closely than they admitted, Alex said as he looked at the map showing all the hidden sensors. And there's been a big increase in the past week. Natalie nodded. We need to be even more careful about hiding our work. Their caution came just in time. 3 days later, a Confederation science vessel entered Earth orbit. According to the official announcement, it was there to conduct routine atmospheric studies. But the ship's sensors were actually scanning for energy signatures that might reveal advanced technology. The ship detected something unusual coming from one of Earth's defense satellites. The readings weren't clear, but they suggested energy patterns that shouldn't be possible for Earth's level of technology. Commander Kelvor, who was still on Earth, requested a meeting with Catherine Wells. This time he brought a full team of Confederation scientists and security officers. We have detected anomalous energy signatures from one of your orbital platforms, Kelvor said without preamble. Our scans indicate technology that is not consistent with Category 7 capabilities. Catherine tried to look surprised. I'm not sure what you mean, Commander. Our satellites use standard Earth technology, with some minor improvements based on the educational materials you provided. One of the Confederation scientists stepped forward. He had 6 eyes and skin that changed colors as he spoke. The energy pattern matches no known technology in our database. It appears to be manipulating gravitational fields in ways that should be theoretically impossible for your species to understand, let alone implement. Kelvor's silver eyes fixed on Catherine. We require immediate access to all your defense systems and research facilities. If you are developing prohibited technologies, the consequences for Earth could be severe. Catherine knew they had reached a critical moment. The cover story wouldn't hold anymore. She pressed a hidden button under the conference table, sending an alert to President Carter. I'll need to consult with our leadership, she said calmly. This is a serious matter that requires careful consideration. Kelvor nodded stiffly. You have 1 planetary rotation to provide full disclosure and access. After that, the Confederation will take whatever steps are necessary to ensure compliance. When Catherine reported to the White House, the situation was tense. The President and his advisors debated what to do next. We can't give them access to our real technology, Elizabeth Morgan insisted. They'll shut down Project Defender and limit our development for centuries. President Carter was quiet for a long moment. Then he made his decision. It's time to show our hand, but on our terms. We'll give a demonstration of what we can really do. Not everything, just enough to make them reassess their assumptions about us. The next day, a special meeting was arranged at a remote military base in the desert. Kelvor and his team arrived, expecting to be shown conventional Earth technology, with minor Confederation influences. Instead, they were led to a large open area, where Natalie Rodriguez waited beside a small device on a pedestal. This is Dr. Rodriguez, the lead scientist of what we call Project Defender, President Carter said. She's going to show you something that will change how the Confederation views Earth. Natalie activated the device. The air shimmered as a gravitational field formed. Slowly, a military tank weighing over 60 tons lifted effortlessly off the ground. It floated in midair, then began to move in precise patterns as if it weighed nothing at all. The Confederation representatives stared in shock. What they were seeing violated everything they believed about human capabilities and the laws of physics as they understood them. Impossible, whispered the 6-eyed scientist. This technology should be beyond any Category 7 species, beyond even most Category 3 species. Kelvor's face showed no emotion, but his voice was tight when he spoke. The Confederation Council must be informed immediately. Earth's classification requires significant revision. News of Earth's gravitational technology spread quickly through the Galactic Confederation. Emergency meetings were called. Reports were written and shared. Species that had never paid attention to humans suddenly wanted to know everything about Earth. 3 days after the demonstration, the Confederation officially upgraded Earth's status to Category 3, marking it as a potential regional power with unexpected technological capabilities. Observation posts around the solar system were doubled, and more science vessels arrived to study this surprising development. Ambassador Zixtal's attitude toward Catherine Wells changed almost overnight. Where before there had been polite condescension, now there was cautious respect. Your species has surprised us, Zixtal admitted during their next meeting. The Council is concerned about how quickly you developed this technology. Catherine smiled politely. We're just good at thinking outside the box. While diplomatic talks continued, Earth wasn't sitting idle. Project Defender entered its next phase. The gravity technology was being installed in key locations around the planet. A special satellite network was deployed that could extend a gravitational shield over major cities. Natalie and her team had made another breakthrough. They found a way to use the gravity field not just as a shield or weapon, but as a detection system. It could sense objects moving through space at vast distances, much farther than any radar or other Earth technology. One morning, Natalie rushed into a meeting between Alex and Elizabeth Morgan. Her face was pale. The detection system picked up something, she said. 3 large fleets of ships are heading toward Earth from different directions. They're trying to stay hidden, but our gravity sensors can detect them. Elizabeth immediately called the president. Within an hour, an emergency meeting was taking place in the White House Situation Room. "We've identified the ships," a military officer explained, pointing to the large screen on the wall. "One fleet belongs to the Zalarians, probably seeking revenge for their lost ships, but the other 2 fleets are from Confederation species, the Drakons and the Vosari." "Why would Confederation members be sending ships toward Earth in secret?" the president asked. Catherine Wells, who was attending the meeting, spoke up. "The Drakons and Vosari are both militaristic species. They've always pushed for stricter control of developing civilizations. They probably see our technology as a threat to the galactic balance of power." "How long until they arrive?" asked the president. "About 2 weeks based on their current speed," Natalie answered. "Elizabeth," Morgan stood up. "We need to show them we're not an easy target. I propose we deploy our newest prototype, the Planetary Shield." The Planetary Shield was Project Defender's most ambitious creation. Using hundreds of gravity generators placed around the world, it could create a field that would completely surround Earth, protecting it from any attack. After much debate, the president approved the plan. For the next 10 days, military and civilian workers raced to install the remaining gravity generators needed for the shield. It was hard to keep such a large project secret, so the government announced it as a new global weather monitoring system. On the day the shield was ready, the president made a worldwide broadcast. He revealed the truth about the alien fleets heading toward Earth and explained the shield that would protect the planet. "Today, we show the galaxy that Earth will not be threatened," he said. "We seek peaceful relations with all species, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." As the world watched, the planetary shield was activated. A slight shimmer appeared in the sky as the gravity field formed around the entire planet. It was barely visible to the naked eye, but sensors showed it was incredibly strong. Strong, enough to repel any known weapon in the Confederation's arsenal. In space, the approaching fleets detected the shield. Their scanners could hardly believe the readings. The energy required for such a shield should have been beyond any Category 3 civilization, beyond even most Category 1 civilizations. The commander of the Drakon fleet sent an urgent message back to his homeworld. "Humans have deployed a planetary defense system of unprecedented power. Recommend immediate diplomatic approach rather than planned containment action. Earth classification must be revised again." The Galactic Confederation was thrown into chaos by this news. Earth had gone from harmless curiosity to major power in less than a year. Many species were afraid, some were angry, and a few were very, very interested in forming new alliances with these surprising humans. The Galactic Confederation called an emergency council meeting. Representatives from all 300-member species gathered in the Great Hall on the Central World. The topic was simple but urgent: what to do about Earth. Ambassador Zixtal presented the Confederation's official report. In less than 1 standard year, humans have developed technology that should have taken them centuries. Their gravitational manipulation abilities exceed our own in several areas. They have deployed a planetary shield that our weapons cannot penetrate. Earth must now be classified as a Category 1 civilization. The council chamber erupted in shouts and arguments. Many species feared what humans might do with their technology. Some suggested a full blockade of the solar system. Others proposed sending a massive combined fleet to intimidate Earth into sharing their technology. After 3 days of debate, a decision was made. A special diplomatic mission would travel to Earth. It would include representatives from the most powerful Confederation species and would be led by the Supreme Counselor himself. On Earth, preparations were being made for this historic visit. The White House was chosen as the meeting place. Security was extremely tight. Natalie, Alex, and their team created special detection systems to make sure the aliens didn't bring any hidden weapons or devices. As a sign of good faith, President Carter decided that Earth would reveal one more technological breakthrough during the meeting. It was something even more revolutionary than the gravity shields, a solution to faster-than-light travel that the Confederation had been seeking for thousands of years. The day of the meeting arrived. The Confederation ship descended through the planetary shield, which opened briefly to allow them passage. It landed on the White House lawn, just as Ambassador Zix Tal's ship had done months earlier. The Supreme Counselor emerged first. He was from a species that looked like a tall, thin tree with glowing orbs for eyes. Behind him came 20 other representatives from various worlds. Inside the White House, the grand meeting began. The Supreme Counselor spoke first. "Humans of Earth," he said through his translator, "your rapid technological advancement has caused great concern throughout the galaxy. Some fear you, some admire you. All are watching to see what you will do next." President Carter responded calmly. "We seek only peace and mutual respect. We developed our technology for defense, not conquest. But we will not be treated as a lesser species or have our progress restricted." The negotiations continued for hours. Both sides made demands and offers. Slowly, they moved toward a new understanding. Near the end of the meeting, President Carter nodded to Catherine Wells. It was time for their final reveal. "Supreme Counselor," Catherine said, "we have solved another problem that we understand has challenged the Confederation for millennia: instantaneous matter transportation across vast distances." The room went completely silent. Every alien representative stared at her in disbelief. Natalie Rodriguez stepped forward with a small device. "This is a prototype of what we call a jump gate. It creates a connection between 2 points in space, allowing instant travel between them, regardless of distance." To demonstrate, she activated the device. A shimmering doorway appeared in the middle of the room. Through it, they could see the surface of Mars, where a matching device had been secretly placed days earlier. With a network of these gates, Alex explained, ships would no longer need faster-than-light drives. They could simply step from one star system to another in an instant. The Supreme Counselor's glowing eyes dimmed, then brightened, a sign of extreme emotion among his species. This changes everything. The energy requirements for such technology should be beyond what any known civilization could achieve." Natalie finished for him. "We solved that problem too." After the demonstration, the tone of the meeting changed completely. The Confederation representatives no longer spoke of restrictions or oversight. Now they talked of partnership and exchange. As the meeting concluded, the Supreme Counselor made a formal announcement. "The official classification of Earth has been amended. Humanity is now designated as a Category 1 civilization, with the special notation, paradigm shifter, approach with extreme caution." President Carter smiled. "We prefer to think of it as approach with open minds." That evening, as news of the new treaty spread across Earth, Natalie and Alex stood on the White House roof, looking up at the stars. "What do you think happens next?" Alex asked. Natalie smiled. "Everything changes. The galaxy just got a lot smaller, and humanity's future just got a lot bigger." In diplomatic channels across the galaxy, a new phrase entered the lexicon. "When the humans arrive, everyone run, not from danger, but to witness what impossibility they'll make reality next."